Hello, puppies, and welcome back to another episode of the Isle of Series. I don't know why the head bob has just become the thing, but it kind of just like integrated over time. Welcome everyone to Isle of Pop Culture. And I have to admit, in preparing for this show, I'm like, okay, what exactly defines pop culture? But now I am well versed, and I believe I am ready for this show. So without further ado, I would like to introduce onto our show our guest, Just a Little Podcast. Woo
Hey
woo!
guys,
Hi.
how are you guys doing?
Not too bad. How about you?
Doing fantastic, doing fantastic.
All right. Well, so I guess kind of the first question that has to come out the floodgates here is, what made you want to talk about pop culture?
Honestly, it's like I've listened to you guys quite a few times, and I was like, man, what could I talk about that resonates with me, resonates with culture today? And I figured it'd be pop culture because it's something that I enjoy. My podcast revolves around it. The people that I associate it with as well revolve around that, and that's like their daily life is pop culture. So I was like, what better way to talk about something that I actually live every single day than to talk about it with you guys? So I figured, why not do that? I
Why
thought it'd be,
not?
yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, because when you threw out pop culture, I literally looked at my mom and I was like, "What?" I was like, "I don't know how to ask questions around this. I'm gonna have to do some research."
Yeah, I hear you.
Let's shout out the chat room.
Oh, okay, yes, I do need to shout out the chat. That is probably one of the more important parts of the beginning part of the show. Alrighty, so I saw Sam's Tangled Web tailgating pretty early. Hi, Sam.
Hey Sam,
We have Zen World. How's it going?
what's up, Sam?
We Rob's always here. Hi, Rob. We got Super Russ, and we have Unruly Simeon. Hi, Aaliyah. Hi, guys.
What up, Hialeah?
He's like after his show, he's never gonna miss another one again.
Absolutely, tears, man, absolute tears. So good.
Okay, so I mean, you already kind of said it, but I'm wondering if you'd be willing to explain. How is it that pulp culture has? I think I keep saying pulp. Pardon me if I keep doing
You're
that.
good.
Um, how has pop culture really affected your life? Because I know that like comics kind of fall under pop culture, but how has it affected you in your life and also in your show?
Gotcha. Growing up as a kid, I was picked on quite a bit. Like I didn't really fall into a category. I played a lot of sports. I played soccer as a kid. I played basketball. I enjoyed that quite a bit. I tried out at football. I was not good at football, but I tried out nevertheless. I actually got put on the team. I was a fourth string cornerback, and there was actually only two strings, so they skipped the third string and they put me on as fourth. So like in
Aw.
case all else failed and somebody died, pretty much, I would be the last pick to come in. And it's like I didn't really fit in with jocks. Like all the jocks just didn't really care for me. And then the actual heavy nerds, I wasn't into their culture as well. I was kind of like in the middle, which was that pop culture scene, and I just kind of fell in love with that. And then I guess growing up as a kid, young, I loved kung fu. I loved comic books. That's what actually helped me to read. So that was definitely a big part of my life. Was my parents gave me comic books like, hey, why don't you try this out, see if it will help you read. So I was doing like Hooked on Phonics, which is like definitely a big thing in the '90s. And then comic books was also a huge asset for me to go and help me read. So that was like a real big balance for me. And once I got into comic books, it allowed me to get into like the heavier nerds who were playing a lot more video games online. And I just went into this giant world of pop culture, and everything kind of just birthed from there. And I think that's just why it resonates so much with me is there's so many different avenues of pop culture growing up from granted I was born in the 80s, but I'm a product of the 90s. So seeing that genre come into play and then now being pop culture as it is today, it's kind of transformed into culture, and it's not necessarily pop culture, especially with how the films have transformed everything that we now know. And that's something that I've loved is now the geeks and the nerds are becoming the popular cool kids. I love that.
Which is
Did you
kind
hear
of.
that? I'm cool.
Hey, you know
Exactly.
what? That means that I'm cool too. I can't. You said that you've tried every kind of sport, and I'm over here thinking, I hate sports. I can't do sports,
Well,
period.
explain to him why. What did you do when you did a handstand?
Oh god. Okay, so I have the hand-eye coordination of a goldfish. And I could never do like any physical activity, and the clearest example of this is I tried to do a handstand and I broke my arm 3 different ways.
3.
3.
Holy
Yep,
crap.
I had both bones snap in half, and then they compounded back together again and wound up like this. And
Ow.
so yeah, and now I have scars that mimic the what happens.
That's
So-
crazy.
So that's just why I can't do any kind of sports. I don't trust myself enough.
That's hilarious. It's crazy. Like you look back at it, and when you were a kid, you're like, "This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me." And then as like you grow older, you're like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad. It's got a good story behind it."
Right? I like oobing people out because I can like manipulate the scars. So I always like make people go ooh.
Just like that.
Exactly
I was
like
like,
that. Yeah, no, I was in a cast for like almost 2 years, so it was kind of ridiculous. And when I was little, I was the total kid to think I'm never gonna break a bone, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh my god, I broke it at 9. How
That's crazy.
lucky was that one?
I've actually broken a big toe before.
Oh,
Ouch.
ow.
That was the worst thing ever. Like I thought I was gonna die. I couldn't walk. I now have a limp from my big toe because of that. Like I didn't want to walk in it for the longest time, so when I walk, I have like a penguin waddle. My wife always makes fun of me about it, but
Aww.
One of my hands is bigger than the other now because of how long I was in a cast for. So
That's crazy.
it's kind of weird.
that's cool. That is a cool story.
Okay, but I did segue. I need to get this back to you right now. So would you say that comics is your favorite kind of pop culture? And
Comics or
sorry.
film? You're good. Comics or film? Thanks, Rod. You're the best, man.
I was gonna say, do you have any examples on hand of some of your favorites?
I do. Let me grab them. Give me a half a second, and I do have them.
Cool.
Did you read Kirk's comment?
No, I didn't.
Ah.
Ow.
How do you pop
How
your
do you-
collarbone out of the
How?
socket? Oh, la, 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 la.
Please, someone explain this to me. I had a kid who used to live in my neighborhood who's like, the 2 oldest boys used to like break their shoulders constantly.
Oh, you haven't broken any bones?
Don't.
I dislocated my little pinky toe probably 10 times.
Yeah, it's
As a
so
matter of
fresh.
fact, I just did it
By
3
kicking
nights
Dad's
ago.
foot.
Yeah,
You
I
kicked
tripped-
Dad's foot and
I
popped the
tripped
toe
over
out,
Your
yes.
Dad's foot. Yes, go me. Yes.
See what you miss.
Hey, Ethan.
This is one of my favorite books.
Yes.
Of course, it is a reprint of The Amazing Fantasy 15, but it's very, very sentimental to me because I waited like 6 hours to go and meet Stan Lee.
Wow.
And
Oh.
yeah, I waited so long. It was on a Saturday, and I was like, I have to meet him. So I waited 6 hours to finally meet him, took my photo with him, got him to sign this book.
Aw.
Wow.
And it's always crazy. Like I've always been told, never
I
meet your
didn't even
idols.
realize that's what that was. I didn't even realize.
That's amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, I love this book, and like I've always been told, never meet your idols because you're always gonna regret it. They're gonna be like a douchebag or something of that nature.
Yeah.
And meeting him, he was, I want to say he was like 93 at the time, and he was
Wow.
still very active. And they like before they like let you to walk in to take your photo, they're like, don't hug him, don't shake his hand, just stand there and smile. I'm like, I spent a lot of money to see this guy. If I want to kiss him on the cheek, you're gonna let me kiss him on the cheek. So like I walked in there and I saw him. I shook his hand. They're like, "Don't shake his hand." I just looked at him, gave him like a mean mug. I just kept doing. I put my arm around him, and then he's like, "You're a really, really nice guy." And I was like, "You're a nice guy as well." Like he was so down to earth. He was such a sweet man, and it's like that little connection. It made my lifelong like goal of meeting him. It made it that much more memorable for me, and it's crazy. Like I missed. It's horrible to say, and I know. And if she ever watches this, I do apologize. She knows I apologize, and I love her. I missed my sister's wedding to go and get this comic book signed. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But she knew beforehand that I was gonna go and get this signed, and I was like, I paid a lot of money to meet him. I paid a lot of money to get the signature. I have like all of this stuff set up with all my friends going, and I can't just bail now. And she's like, I'm getting married. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Oh.
I'm like, this man's gonna die any second now. Thank God he lived for quite a long time, but it's like I felt so horrible. But it's so worth it. So it's like this is a book that's never gonna leave my collection.
Wow.
So John just messaged and said he can't join the chat because he's doing report cards. So
Oh.
you're not going to get your moment to zing him, Cookie.
Next
Well,
time,
you
John.
never know. You could probably trigger somebody else
Well,
in
you
the
know
chat.
what?
Absolutely.
You should do it just in case, and then I'll tell him to
Or
watch
John
the
to watch the
replay.
replay. Exactly.
I'll
Go for
definitely
it.
do
So go
it.
ahead with your zinger, Cookie.
All right, John. I saw your episode. And you were talking a lot about a certain film with a certain guy, and it's not a Christmas film, and you know it's not a Christmas film, and I don't care what you say. It doesn't act as a Christmas film, and the fact that Bruce Willis has even went on camera and said that Die Hard is not a Christmas film is enough for me that it's not a Christmas film. And I'm sorry. I know you like it. I know you love it, but you're going to have to cross that one off your list. It's not a Christmas film. And anybody in the
Okay.
chat, I know you guys love it, but it's not Christmas. I'm sorry.
Okay, can we at least all agree that Lethal Weapon is a legit Christmas movie? Can we
What?
at least all agree on that one?
No.
Yes.
No.
They have the Christmas tree in the background in the fight sequence.
It's not even a Christmas. Like, all right, well, what do you guys think? What makes a Christmas film a Christmas film?
Christmas ornaments in the
It
background.
has
That's it.
Christmas music.
Christmas music,
tree.
A dear bad guys, nobody here but us cops. Merry
Okay,
Christmas
like
on the
Roger's-
Christmas tree.
Roger's Christmas tree gets knocked over.
Gets hit by a police car.
Little Jay, thank you so much for joining us.
See, Fatal J, I agree with. The Grinch, absolutely a Christmas movie. That's 100%. Home Alone, Christmas movie.
Okay, yep.
Oh, no, but Russ is on my side.
Oh, God. Come on.
Hey, Jake.
Oh,
He's just
man.
like,
Oh, and
No.
Rod agrees with me too.
Oh.
See, the blows are flying.
And
This is
then
horrible.
you're just gonna have John who private messages you after the show. What the heck?
He's going to hate me.
Hey, Ethan, you're supposed to be going back to work.
Yeah, go back to work.
I have one other book I wanted to show you guys.
Ooh.
I have around like 700, I think, or 800 books so far in my collection. But like, granted, they're not all massive books I've collected growing up as a kid. So I had like a lot of X-Men books. I've loved X-Men, but I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I got this book,
That's beautiful.
and
Who's
I
the
actually,
signature on that one?
so I have Mike Zeck up in this corner.
Wow.
And then he
Wow.
did the sketch for me, and then I had Dan Slott right here. And while I was in line for that one, he had he was about to leave, and he saw me with the book. He's like, "Come on up." So I did, and
Aw.
I'm with my sister, and he just disregarded me. He just starts flirting with my sister, just spitting game to my sister. And I'm like, "Dude, can you sign my comic book?" He's like, "Give me a second." And he's just talking. I'm like, what is going on? Like, granted, her husband behind me, my nephew's right there, and he is just putting in some work. I'm like, man, you want me to give you her number? Like, is this how this is going to work out? But it was great. It was great. And then John Betty is at the end as well. So I'm trying to fill this up with a lot of signatures, different sketches, remarks, stuff like that nature. And this is a book that I've loved for quite a bit. Spoilers to anybody who hasn't read it. Spider-Man dies in here, and Doc Ock takes his body.
Oh, that's the 700th
right.
issue.
I actually heard
Yes.
that, yes.
So
Why
it's a-
that one? Why that one to get signed?
I love
That's
it.
the worst
It's
one.
really hard, but if you can tell, it's so detailed with everything is all Spider-Man. So this is all
I was-
Spider-Man, Venom, Carnage, throughout the entire thing.
I
Wow.
was thinking the same thing, Rod. He must have a really hot side.
It was hilarious. I enjoy talking with him though. Dan Slott is a great guy.
That is really cool, man.
I love it.
Someday you're gonna have hold up these comic books and they're gonna be worth like millions,
Yeah.
especially the Stan Lee one.
I hope. I had a friend hit me up and he's like, "Dude, the Stan Lee book that you have is $1,200." I'm like, That's great, but it's never leaving.
Right.
It's staying with me.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I love it.
So, are you ready? Okay. Well, I'm gonna move
Okay,
because
we're
it
doing
is
fire
time
facts
for
really
the
fast.
religious 15 minutes on the dot fire facts.
Let's do it.
Here are those.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello, sir.
Hello. All right, so it is time for BBA 99's Fire Facts. Alrighty, so fact number 1 is that pop culture consists of celebrities, products, and some internet media sites and stuff. So that's pretty cool. And number 2, a new trend going around is that people are wearing flip-flops made of real grass. So that's a thing, and people are loving it. So that's pretty interesting. All right, fact number 3, Cookie is a sci-fi fan.
Yes, I am.
So am I.
Awesome.
And number 4, Cookie has a Harry Potter tattoo.
I do.
I don't have that, but maybe someday. And that's it for today's Fire Facts, so I'm gonna go watch some sci-fi TV shows.
Awesome.
This is empty. Yeet.
Grass shoes.
I like that. I just thought about that. Like, I remember as a kid rolling around in grass and then you're all itchy. So it's like your feet are going to be itchy while you're just
I can't.
Standing
do
there in
that.
grass.
Green because of, like,
green
grass
and
stains?
wet. Ugh.
yeah.
I mean, like, because like I know that like in some countries they weave like grass baskets. So I mean,
Your sister's getting a lot of attention.
She is. I'm going to send her this link.
Yes,
just
Russ,
like
Kate
just
is
like
back
with a
from
bunch
the
of phone
spaceship.
numbers lined up underneath.
It's hilarious.
You know, and it would be awesome because then her husband may like make her dinner and like,
Oh
bring
yeah,
her
no,
flowers
the
and,
kiss,
you know, she
the
could, like,
kissing up
totally
would start
take
to
advantage.
occur. Okay, so following Cade's fire facts there, he mentioned that a lot of different categories fall under, I'm not exactly sure what my hair is doing, fall under pop culture. And, oh, sweet, thanks. I need a trademark burning block hat. Okay, cool. So, well, one of the things that actually falls under pop culture, and I don't know if it's so much now as it was in the past, but food. Food
Yes.
falls under the category of pop culture. And it was really huge around the time of, like, the first TV microwavable dinners and, you know, convenience meals and restaurants and fast food.
Well, even now, people post their food
On
social
Instagram,
media.
yeah.
I
I
think they
I
call
guess
it
that
food
could
do.
be.
porn. Yeah.
I do it
You
all the
know,
time.
Do you really?
I did it literally 2
I do it
days
all
ago,
the time.
so I
Yeah,
mean,
you did. You posted.
The-
What is the name of
the
that dish? I
pate
can't-
guamas.
Yes.
Pate guamas.
Nice.
It's from
It's a pork pie where you marinate pork in a bunch of herbs and
Mhm.
a white or red wine for 2 days, and then you make a yeast dough and you make it into a pie.
That sounds awesome.
It was really
So,
good.
what are your favorite foods, Cookie?
Yes, that was where that topic was going. Is what is your favorite foods or food chain that kind of revolve around pop culture a little bit?
It's so tough because like growing up, I've always been like an Italian kid. I've always loved Italian food. So Big
How is
CD.
that possible? Your parents are from Jamaica.
I have no idea. It's crazy. I have no idea. Like if you give me pasta, I will eat it all day long. So like Big CD, chicken parm, eggplant parm. I mean, I can eat it all. I love pasta. That's like my go-to. I love bread. When it comes to like pop culture food, my wife and I used to religiously watch Bob Burgers all the time, and I ended up getting. You never seen it?
No.
Oh my lord!
The only reason why I know is because of my biology teacher.
It is so good. It's. I'm trying to think of the actual actor's name. He is the voice of Archer. He does a lot of voices, and he ends up doing Bob, who owns a burger joint. And I want to say, I forgot what area it is. Maybe like San Francisco or somewhere over in the Bay Area. And he basically earns his burger joint, and each week he kind of displays a new burger that he has, and it's got like a pun inside there, or it's a riddled out burger. Like it has something very, very catchy in the name of the burger, and it revolves around his family. He has 2 daughters, and then he has a son and his wife. And then you have his neighbor who's a plumber. You have the wife's best friend who is like a nail tech salon lady, but she's also like kind of like a slut in the sense. But it's weird because it's very, very hilarious. So burgers is something that I've always loved. Gourmet burgers is fantastic. I love going and experimenting on that aspect. My wife is trying to become vegan. So I posted a picture a couple days ago of my refrigerator, and I kind of shouted out some people on there.
It's the most organized refrigerator I have ever seen in my whole life.
We just organized it.
I literally came home and looked at my fridge, and I was like, oh God, I suck.
We just organized it, so like we like made it all nice. I was like, you know what? We used to watch like MTV Cribs, and I was like, let's just bring that back. Let's do that like through Instagram and see if somebody catches on. And a few people messaged me back and said that's so awesome, and they did it themselves. But we want to start doing it over summer ideally, and she's been making a lot of vegan stuff, which is really awesome. I've been enjoying it quite a bit. Vegetarian, there you go.
Vegetarians in the chat. I know Kirk is a vegetarian.
Yes.
Jake is a vegetarian. Russ is not a vegetarian, I don't believe.
I am not a vegetarian or a vegan. I actually don't like vegetables at all, but my wife kind of got me into it. And we go to a place called Vegan Junkie, which is close to us down in South Florida. And they make the best burgers I've ever had. And they make it out of beets and mushrooms. It's 100% vegan.
Wow.
And I had no idea that I ate a vegan burger when I had no idea what it was. I took a bite into it. It was the best burger I've ever had.
Wow.
And then last week, my wife was like, hey, we got to go down there. They just made a new chicken burger. I'm like, but it's vegan. Like, what are they making it out of? And when I looked at it, it looked exactly like a chicken sandwich from like Popeyes. Like, it was so juicy and thick, and the breadcrumb was perfect. I took a bite into it, and I found out that it was made out of mushrooms.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it blew my mind away. Like, it was like whole portobello mushrooms, fantastic work. And I'm starting to go into that trend. Granted, don't get me wrong, I love meat. That sounds weird, but I love pork. I love bacon. I love steak. I love chicken. So it's like, it's going to be tough for me to transition to that, but I'm there to support her. And I know it's better to be more like plant-based, but I do love meat. And food has always been something that I've cherished quite a bit. Like, growing up as a kid, my dad and I used to watch a lot of cooking channels. So it's always been part of my life, and learning how to cook has always been something that I've enjoyed. So.
Wow. That's really
It's
fun.
just interesting watching the chat, just like with meatitarian versus vegetarian.
Cannibalism versus vegetarian. I saw that one.
Mushrooms are very versatile. And
I
very
actually like
filling.
mushrooms. That's like the one thing I can eat. So it's like,
Hi, Aaliyah. You're your mayo.
He's still on that. Oh, man.
I love sending him
Rob, that is
mayonnaise
not
memes.
okay.
Oh, I
That
love
sounds
cheesy
good.
Hi, Aaliyah.
That sounds so good.
That does. Oh, sounds
Great.
so good.
We're all gonna go after this show and like go like just like pig
Go
out
hunting
on
for
all this
food.
different stuff.
Jake actually hates mushrooms.
Yeah.
Poor Jake.
So he's the vegetarian, and he hates mushrooms. I'm like, what?
It's all how you cook it, what I found out. It depends, like, what you cook it with. It actually takes the flavor of whatever you cook with it.
Mm.
M&Ms are not a vegetable.
What about the green ones? The green ones should count.
There you go. That's hilarious.
Well, you know, Zen, you already talk about food on your show all the time, so this is perfect.
This is perfect. We're just gonna get messages from everyone after the show, making filet mignon or making mushrooms or just
He was talking
everything
about
after
pop
the
culture.
show.
One thing,
Let's
like,
get back on track.
one thing for pop culture is I used to watch a show a lot before he passed away, Anthony Bourdain. So my wife and I loved him. He was probably one of my favorite chefs out there. And he actually did a lot of pop culture related stuff on his show. And he was on like the CNN show that he did his stuff. And he'd travel the world kind of seeing what food is actually in that area. And not necessarily going to like your normal chain restaurants, but going like going off the beaten path type of thing. Going to the hole in wall restaurants that your mom and pop shops would open up and actually eating food of that culture. And that's something that my wife and I have always loved, and we adore when we do that. So anytime we do travel, we don't necessarily go to the normal places. We like to go away from the normal places and see what that food actually has and how it like interacts with the culture of the people.
Right. Which is a lot of fun just in on itself.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
regardless if you end up liking the food or not, just like going and seeing like and knowing like how they prepare it and like what goes into it. Like
Mhm.
that's why we had so much fun with the dish that we made yesterday. It's just like we would have never have thought to try
Exactly.
something like this, you know. This is what I get for doing crazy research on European countries. This is what I get. So
That's awesome, though. That's so awesome.
okay, so also, which actually I do want to ask you a quick question because we kind of steered away from films, and I don't think we were supposed to do that yet. You have a film-related story that you had wanted to share on it.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Why
I-
don't we do that before we move any further?
I'm a big science buff, so I do like all forms of like science, where it's like Mystery Science Theater type of thing.
Oh, I
Star
love
Wars.
Mystery Science Theater.
It's fantastic. I love it. And I know it doesn't get as much credit as it should, but it's really good. It's well produced. It's well organized. I love the direction of how they do everything. I've always been like into that. That's always been something that I go to. And growing up as a kid, it was always that tussle between Star Wars and Star Trek. And
Right.
I still tussle with that. Like I still
Really?
love both. I love them both equally. They
I
both
like
have
Star Trek more.
they have different meanings for me. So like the Star Wars is more of like the kind of like the adventure, the getting an escape from reality, versus Star Trek is more of this is what I want reality to be. And it's so good because it's like it's all very inclusive. It's definitely what we should as a whole strive to get to, which is like making sure that everybody understands that it's about peace, it's about love, it's about being one as a people, whether you're a different race, an alien or not, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whether you're gay, straight, it doesn't matter. Like we're all people, we all live on the same planet, and this is the only planet we have, so we have to make it work. If we don't, then it's just going to crumble down into pieces. So that's something that for Star Trek has always been a great positive aspect. And my dad got me into it when I was super, super young. So my first Star Trek, of course, was TNG, The Next Generation. I've always been a Jean-Luc Picard fan.
Yes.
And I started watching that, and my dad kind of got upset with me because I would watch it with him. He's like, no, you got to go back to the originals. And I never had an appreciation for the originals because it was for my time. It just didn't flow with me. It didn't have that same gravitas as like Next Generation does, or Voyager, Deep Space Nine. Any of those have that different gravitas because it kind of relates to me more. But I had the opportunity as a kid to go to the Science Museum, and they had a Star Trek, like, I guess, exhibit. And I got to see like all the props that were there. There were different actors that came in. And the greatest thing in my life, I will never forget this. I don't even remember how old. I probably was like 13 years old. I was super, super young. But they had I got the ability to get beamed up. And seeing oh my Lord, it was fantastic. It broke me down as a kid because I didn't know how that magic happened. But now that I know how that magic happened, I still enjoyed it as an adult, but as a kid I didn't like it. So you basically stand there and you're pretty much there on this normal pad, and once you get beamed up, all it is the background changes. Nothing else happens. So I'm standing there, I'm like, okay, I'm getting beamed up. What's going to happen as a kid? I'm so excited, so nervous. And they're like, you're beamed up, look at the screen. And I look up at the screen, and I just see myself go from like being on the Enterprise and getting transformed to a different planet. And that was it. I'm moving around, put my hands around, and you can walk around the space, and it's literally just a green screen behind you. And as a kid, I was like, this sucks. Like, why did this happen? But as an adult, like, I get to appreciate it because it's like you can take so little and make it into something so great. Like, each one of those planets was pretty much almost the exact same thing, but there were so many different stories that Star Trek told, and it didn't matter where you were, like which planet you were on, it still had the same importance to it. And I thought that was awesome. That kind of opened my eyes into like movie making and film as a whole, and I've always loved the fact that there is magic in film, and it's just about like how well you can connect with that film, or how well you can connect with the show. And that's something that I do quite a bit. Like when I watch films, I don't know why, if it's just me being like super girly, I guess you could say, but like I cry during almost all, like a lot of films. I'm always crying, or I get like really in touch with my emotions when I watch film, because I get so drawn into them, and I feel like I'm involved in the storyline, like I'm part of it. So when certain things happen, it feels like it's part of my life, and it's like, man, that sucks. Or you get that joy, you get that happiness. So like Star Wars is always that joy for me. It's always been like that adventure, that escape from reality, enjoy what it means to be like out in the world or out in the universe.
And I also have a certain sympathy toward that because I would agree with that. When I write, I would like Kate has actually caught me doing this a few times. I will just full out conversation with myself while like doing chores or vacuuming, and it's like in my head there's like this whole scenario going out, but all he hears is me bickering with myself. And he's like, "What are you doing?"
That's hilarious.
So I can understand that.
It's awesome. I will say, like, your book is fantastic. Like I told you guys, yeah. Reading it, like when I do read, it's always been something that I've enjoyed as a kid. As I try to read in different voices, whether it's like the smallest little thing, it's just a high pitch to low pitch. I try to read in different voices, and it helps me to go and stay on focus. As a kid, Lord of the Rings was huge for me, so I wanted to really get involved in Lord of the Rings. And there's 1,000,001 different characters. So like trying to go and remember which character was who, I just was like, okay, I have to put a voice for this person. And it'd be weird because I would put like a country accent onto a random person that doesn't need a country accent. And it's like, they're British. Why do they have a country accent? But stuff like that I would do. And my accents are horrible. They're so horrible too. They're not even great. Like in my head, I can hear it sound fantastic. And then it comes out loud and my wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm reading. She's like, well, why are you reading with like a Scottish, English, British, Australian accent all at the same time? I'm like, I don't know. It just happens.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
7 of 9. Oh my gosh,
Oh.
Russ. No love for Kirk except Hylia. Everybody else voted Picard.
Oh, I love Kurt. I got to talk to him at MegaCon, I believe. I got a chance to go and talk to him.
William
He's-
Shatner?
Yes, he's hilarious. He
Seems
is
like
an
he would
absolute. He's very cocky. I will not give. He is extremely cocky. He's definitely self-absorbed, but I mean, rightfully so. You're James T. Kirk, so I mean, you can do whatever you want, and he does. He writes books. He sings country. He directs. He act. Well, he might not act very well, but he definitely like shots fired. He definitely directs.
Well, he's been married 4 times,
Yeah.
I think. And there's not that much of the original cast left.
Correct.
No.
I think there's him and...
The girl.
Sulu,
Oh, Sulu. Oh, right, of course.
Sulu Aurora, and I think
yeah.
him.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Their
gosh.
names.
Oh, the Tribble one was amazing, Russ.
Oh, yes.
I love Trouble with
Trouble
Triples.
with Tribbles, yes. Absolutely.
That was hilarious.
I have a coworker. I don't even know what it was, but he found like this, like it literally looked like a tribble. I could not describe to you what product it was, where he found it. Apparently he just found it in the store. So
Really?
like the only thing I can think of is that he must have just like a customer must have just brought it in and then forgot it.
Mhm.
But it literally looked like a little pink tribble. And he
That's
had
awesome.
it in this box, and all day he was scaring the crap out of everyone with this little tribble. Because he'd be like, guys, look what I caught. And then he'd thrust the box up and he'd throw the tribble at them.
That
Or
is
at one
hilarious.
point he tied a string around it. So he put it behind a trash can and he told one of my coworkers to go look at it. And he would go, yank, and then it would fly out.
That's
I
awesome.
I had 2 of my like brave coworkers go ha and jump. It was awesome.
That is hilarious. Triples are fantastic. I love that episode. That was really good. That was a good pull, Russ.
Right. Okay. Well, we're running a little over. So I think now is when we do our little wrap up.
Tell us what you've got coming up.
Yes. What do you have planned for your channel and what is coming?
Other than Silver Age Sunday tomorrow.
I was going to say that. Silver Age Sunday tomorrow. Definitely with Hialeah, Conquistador Javi, Stay Puff. That is just a great bunch of people. Kurt's on there as well. I mean, I have fun. Mr. G-Man's on there. Jeff is on there as well. So I mean, it's a giant panel, but it's always just a mixed match, and there's never really like a heavy topic. It's just whatever is going on in our lives, whatever comic books we're reading or we pick up, we just kind of really just talk, and it's just friends just talking. And I love being able to associate with those guys. Those guys are awesome. As far as the podcast, hopefully I am coming out with one. I've actually had quite a few people message me saying, "Hey, when's a new episode coming?" I have like a list of things that I want to do, but every single time I record, there's an echo because there's nothing on my walls. And it's like I don't know how to get rid of the echo, and it's like I can't go anywhere. I put on headphones. It's weird. I don't know why. It's like a faint echo, and I try to like
No, I
whisper.
can't hear it either.
Oh, I'm glad. Maybe I'll try just doing this then.
Yeah, no, you're good.
So
One tip or trade is just hang curtains all over the place. Curtains
We-
and paintings and
I need to, because like the window right behind me, there is no curtains at all, and like it's South Florida, so the sun rises right on this side, and probably about 7 o'clock, it's about 100 degrees in this room, and I'm sitting there doing work, just sweating buckets. I'm like, it's a sauna in here.
oh
Just
Yeah,
hold a
it's-
sheet for now. You don't even need.
I need
just
to.
throw a sheet up there.
right.
Just to do something
Oh my
seriously, because it's
gosh,
bad.
Yes.
That's when you get like tainted sheets, so you get different colors
Or
that
There you
cast
go.
into the
blanket,
room.
Anything, even
And-
hell, a beach towel. You know,
Absolutely. That's true.
Anything. I mean, any point
Anything,
of
yeah.
storm, Cookie.
It's crazy.
Alrighty, well, thank you to everyone in the chat. Hopefully we made you all rightfully very hungry. And and I hope you all had fun. Cookie, thank you so much for joining us,
Absolutely.
and I
It
hope
was
you
so
had
much
a
fun.
good time.
I had a blast. This is so awesome.
I think with that, we will see you all
Later.
later. And I saw